Oh, we're live. Welcome back, everybody. So, Simon and Garfunkel, the Boxer, 1970. Why am I going to it? Because within 10 years of this record being released, I was making decisions as a late teen that was to avoid all of this. Because growing up in the town I lived in, loved the town I'm from, but there was going to be nothing there for me. Nothing. And I don't mean family, but we'll get into it. So this is The Boxer. It's a 5-minute odd song from Bridge Over Troubled Water. And yeah, a beautiful song that I suspect has been listened to billions of times by millions of different people. Billions of times. And I guess I'm just going to gauge what you guys think of it. And were you there? Were you older than me? Because I would have been 5 then. So if you were sort of older, 14, 15, let me know what you were thinking when you heard this, because it was heard.
Just a poor boy, though my story is seldom told, I squandered my resistance for a pocket full of mumbles, such are promises.
I'm just a poor boy, though my story's seldom told. Already he's creating that, within that song, Paul Simon's creating that narrative of it's underclass. It's the shame of being poor. Not the poor boy, he's just a poor boy, as in poor. Yeah. And you know the song will go on to reference New York and the underclass, the working class, male, essentially. This is a male song. It really is. And I'd be interested to see what everyone thinks, because when I heard it and I started thinking of, and it's not that it impacted me to make decisions. I just knew later on in life that when I was listening to this as a 15, 16-year-old boy, which I was, I thought, oh God, and looking around and listening to my dad and looking at what was going to be out there for me in my hometown, a working class town, mining town, shipbuilders town, trawlers, fishermen. Yeah, that's what the industry was. But none of it was for me, and it was all shrinking. So yeah.
All lies and jest, still a man hears what he wants to hear and disregards the rest.
This is a folk song.
When I left my home and my family, I was no more than a boy.
So he introduces, I'm just a poor boy. Then he goes to start the story of when he left his home, he was no more than a boy. Yeah. So he's telling you that he was going to be thrust into an adult world at an age when he's not ready. He's not ready for that adult world. And I chose a safe option. But we'll see.
In the company of strangers, in the quiet of the railway station, running scared.
All on your own.
Laying low, seeking out the poorer quarters where the ragged people go, looking for the places only they would know.
So he's already talking about the underclass, the working class. And that would include people in a city like New York, any major metropolis city in New York, and in the UK to a degree, at the time in 1970, would include immigrants, legal or otherwise. This is not about that. So he's just saying that this underclass exists, and he's been thrust as a child into this. And this is all he's seen around him. Yeah, all he's seen around him. And it's, how do you cope with that when you're thrust into that world? And the Boxer's not about Boxer. It's the punches are analogous to what life will hit you with. And it is essentially, can you take the archetypical journey and keep going forward? Well, we'll find out. So that lie, la lie in the song is spelt lie, L-I-E. It's a lie, la lie, a lie, which is a non-lexical refrain. So when singers would go oh, and these are vocalizations or sounds that aren't actually real. Yeah, they don't represent what they're supposed to be doing. The lie, la lie is a non-lexical refrain. And it's deliberately inserted into the song to say it's just a lie. That journey that he thought he was going to make, the young man who makes good and, gets success and builds a family. No, it was all a lie, la lie. So deep. And makes him one of the greatest songwriters ever.
Asking only workman's wages, I come looking for a job, but I get no one.
This changes the song forever.
Just to come on from the wars on 7th Avenue.
So he's going to go and say, although I must declare I took some comfort there. And that's the shame element. So he's descending into shame. He's working class. He's only looking for a working man's wage. He's only trying to get by in life. He's so lonely, so isolated, that the only comfort he could be offered was from those who were within the same terrain, that same community, which he doesn't allude to as such. He doesn't say these were my friends. He says this is all I had. And it's that line, just to come on from the whores on 7th Avenue. I'll make no apologies for using the word because that's what's in the song. And I've been in New York a couple of times, and I know it's not America, guys. I know it's a huge city, and it's not representative of what you'd call Midwest, South, Middle America. It's not a representation of that, but it's still American. And as an idealistic person, when I went there in 2009, first time, I got a sense of that, and I went down 8th and 5th, and 8th is Hell's Kitchen and all those things. And I just don't remember, because I wanted to see what 7th Avenue was like because of the song. And it wasn't perfect. It wasn't perfect. 8th I loved, 5th, 1st Ave, and I remember walking down from my hotel into, opposite was the Met, they're not the Carnegie Hall. And then straight further down another 2 blocks was Central Park. So it was a mixture. So when I thought about the song when I was there, and I did think about that song while I was in New York the first time on my own, I was thinking, can you imagine coming here as a boy, a young adult, say 17, 18, let's just say 18, still a boy. What, in 1970 when it was grittier, when it was cosmopolitan, but it wasn't gentrified, not all of it, by any stretch. What would I have done? Would I have sought some comfort? I don't know. I can't say no.
I do declare there were times when I was so lonesome I took some comfort there. La 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 la.
Here's the sadness. The refrain. I mean, is this a commentary on the American dream? Being missold? A representation that the storyteller, he's not saying it's Paul Simon, what he's saying is the American dream a lie? Big statement in the song. Maybe I'm getting it wrong.
My winter clothes and wishing I was gone, going home, where the New York City winters are bleeding me,
just dragging him down.
Going home.
Now he did Homeward Bound, but that was more when he was on his own in a place called Crewe in the UK, and he was on a train station. But he's still thinking about going home, that this is not home. Yeah, it's the antithesis of home, being absorbed into this dark place with an underbelly that he can't survive. He feels shame, but he's still a fighter. You're gonna hear that.
In the clearing stands a boxer and a fighter by his trade.
The archetype.
And he carries the reminders of every glove that laid him down or cut him till he cried out in his anger and his shame, I am leaving, but the fighter still remains.
So whilst he's ashamed, he's in a dark place, he's a fighter. He's gonna go. It's a retreat, not a surrender. Again. I mean, I don't do this very often, but I think it adds to why I do these songs, why I look at them and delve into the psychology of it. Because once in my life, one stage in my life, I'd lost what I considered to be everything, fiscally, emotionally, and that's okay. It's not a sob story, guys. This is not a sob story. But my only way out was to understand that even though I was kind of ashamed of it, the reality was that the fighter had to remain. I had to move forward. And I guess this song tells you that it can happen to you when you're a boy entering into the world. And even when you're a man and you think you're being a man in a man's world, because that's what a man will perceive it to be, a man's world. That's my view. You still have to, no matter the licks and kicks and punches and beatings that you've taken, whether they're physically or whether they're fiscally, whether they're emotionally, it doesn't matter. Whatever scars have been left, you still have to stand up and walk forward. And I know that's going to be the same for women, but it's just from a different perspective because I'm not a woman. Yeah, so your views about this song, because I'm sure there's been billions of women listen to it as well. So it's a song that, whilst it's about a male, I think it transcends that if you think about it on a psychological level. When you apply it to yourself, would I get up and start again? Well, yeah. And women do that. There's no difference. It's just a different way of looking at it. But I like what this song points out. I think one of the differences between me being English and raised as, I was never promised a dream. I was never. And I don't think Americans are promised a dream. I'm just told they can work towards a dream, that the dream is there for you to go and achieve. So I suspect, but as I was growing up, there was a harsh reality that the skill set I had, the things I was interested in, where my town was going was, well, no, there's going to be nothing here. You're not going to achieve anything, not even basic. I mean, I was never going to build ships. I wasn't going to go into mines, not because I was frightened of hard work. I've done some hard work in my day, and I'm sure everyone listening has. It wasn't the fear of hard work. It was I just couldn't identify with it. And I had an opportunity where it wasn't about my survival. I didn't have to go and take that job to survive. I was still comforted by that family environment. I was still getting my 3 squares a day. Didn't have to pay any rent. Didn't have to contribute because I was a child still. But that was coming to an end, and I knew there was going to be a stark reality. The minute I left school, because there was no colleges where I was from, you didn't go into higher ed. It was get a job. There was nothing else. Get a job, because when you live here, you're going to pay to be here. Yeah. And that wasn't a cruelty. My parents were beautiful. They weren't cruel, but it was just a fiscal reality. You get a job and you pay to be in this house because you've outgrown that now. I never tested the waters on that. I never found out what my dad would have done. I never tested those waters. I never had to say, I've come home and I'm not going to work and what can I do and will you let me live for free? No, that water was never tested thankfully. I'm not sure if my dad would have called my bluff. Yeah. Listen how dark, listen how dark. Listen to that. Now finishes mildly. Finishes on a lighter note. Did you hear this? The transition, that was dark. Folky, bluesy. So as the song was ending, the story was ending, it was dark, it was deep, but it wasn't about the fighter being unhurt. He was hurt, but he still had to carry on, not because of anything other than he had to, and you have to. That's what the song's about. You have to carry on. Yeah. Excellent. And that's why I like this song, because it transitions out to say, well, life goes on. How you frame it for yourself, that's up to you guys. This isn't pop psychology. I'm just saying that's what the song means to me. And I did think about it. And the second time I went to New York, it was better. It was more touristy. I could do things. I knew where things were. Got lost on the way to Yankee Stadium. That's another story, another time. But yeah, the Boxer. Brilliant. Take care, guys. Join in, subscribe. Till next time.